to Jessica and everyone at Kiva for welcoming me so warmly today. Thank you to Zach and James and Connor and Cole for sharing your work at town, and also doing something that I think is really important, making it clear that while the four of you are here, there are so many other students at town that are also engaged in Kiva U. And the same is true for everyone from Sacred Heart, that although the five of you are here, you said repeatedly that there are 30 people in the Kiva U club at your school, and I think that's really important. As you heard from Ramon, as Kiva was nice enough to put this slide up, I recently wrote It's Your World. And I wrote this because I kept meeting kids like the four that we heard from town school. Kids who were curious about the world, attentive to what was happening in the world, whether the world is defined as our own communities or the whole earth. And we're so engaged and already trying to figure out or actually making a difference. I think so much more so than adults, not those of us in this room, but often adults understand. And when I was a kid, about, how old are the four of you? 12, all right, so I was a little bit younger than you. When I was 10 or 11, I read this book called 50 Simple Things Kids Can Do to Save the Earth. And it had a profound impact on me because it treated me seriously as someone who deserved to know about climate change and deserved to know about acid rain and pollution, and who also deserved the opportunity to make a difference in those areas. And it didn't talk down to me. It didn't treat me as just a kid. It treated me as someone who could be empowered to make a difference. And I felt that way, and then I went about trying to make a difference in my own small way in Little Rock and then later in Washington, working with my school recycling programs, sort of obsessively cutting up the plastic rings that come on 6-pack cans of soda so that fish and marine wildlife in places like Mississippi or Louisiana, where I knew a lot of the trash from places like Arkansas wound up, wouldn't choke and die on them. I also then glued some of those onto construction paper. Purple was my favorite color, and I would hand them out in my neighborhood, in my church, to my grandparents' neighbors, to try to say, this is something that anyone can do, right? The only cost is whatever you paid for that 6-pack can of soda. Anyone can do this, because I so fundamentally believe that with a little bit of information, any person can make a difference, and that you're never too young to start. And that so often what happens is a failure in imagination, which is why I think it's so important that the four of you from town school and the five of you from Sacred Heart share your stories so that other young people can see themselves as being you, either today or when they're 12 or when they're 17 or 18. And so I certainly hope with It's Your World that it affects even one person the way that 50 Simple Things affected me when I was 10 or 11. And I'm so grateful that Kiva has allowed me to share the remarkable work that you all do every day on behalf of the millions of people who deserve every opportunity that all of the students who spoke with us here today deserve. As I was walking from the Nairobi conference room, and I love that you named your rooms after places where you work, here I walked by a quote that I believe so strongly, that dreams are universal and opportunity is not. And everyone at Kiva and in the Kiva ecosystem, and I'm proud to count myself as a lender, are helping to close that gap every day. And I know that so many young people feel called to this work, and they just need to know about this work so that they can participate, whether that is working in one of the 80 other countries in which you work outside the United States, or now working here in the US, and I'm so excited about the domestic work that Kiva is pioneering. So I hope that you'll count me as a Kiva partisan. As I was telling Kamal earlier, he said, well, what can we do to help you? And I said, well, what can I do to help you? You know, whether it's through the platform of It's Your World, I'm talking to young people across the country and hearing what they want to do, continuing to suggest Kiva U as a mechanism by which they can engage and make a positive difference. Or figuring out how to help more of our CGIU students think of Kiva either as a possible place where they can get seed funding for their work here in the US and around the world, or otherwise. I believe so strongly in your model because it's ultimately predicated on dignity, and it's ultimately predicated on the belief that everyone deserves a shot. And that's why I wrote It's Your World, because I think that kids particularly feel that way, and I think it's up to us as adults to help kids then figure out how to translate what they're most inspired by or angry about So thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me a chance to learn a little bit more